Perfect. Okay, Abby, sorry, I didn't see you shaking your head. Thank you. All right, thank you all so much for joining us. My name is Hannah. I currently serve as a coordinator in the Office of Fraternity and Sorority Life here. I am the Panhellenic primary advisor, which is super exciting. And I've been working here since July, so I am just under 6 months of working here so far.
Hi, y'all. I'm Abby Hanson Allen. I use she, her pronouns. I'm the acting director of Fraternity and Sorority Life. I've been working with fraternities and sororities for about 7 years now. I'm really, really excited to make sure that we're helping your Hokie find their connection through sorority life here at Virginia Tech. But if you have any questions at all, there'll be time to kind of answer during and after. So good luck.
Hi everyone, my name is Eva Ruin. I use she, they pronouns. I am a coordinator in the office and I oversee our United Council of Fraternities and Sororities. I mostly do, when working with Panhellenic, I mostly do a lot of marketing and media. I'm also, me and Hannah started around the same time, so it's been about 4 months, I think, since coming to Virginia Tech.
Great, thank you both. So we are going to go ahead and get started. We plan to cover an overview of fraternity and sorority life, what recruitment is, how to prepare for recruitment, how to support your Hokie through this process, and some of the details about the week of recruitment. There are many details that we'll have more available after registration closes on December 1st. That's a really key date for us, so please make sure that your Hokie is registered. We're going to share how during this session, and then once registered, we'll be sharing even more details with them throughout the month of December. There is a virtual Panhellenic information session for potential new members or your Hokies, as we would like to refer to them. And that is going to be on Sunday, November 26th. They've been held across the course of the semester, and it is mandatory to attend one. The link for that is going to be available on the VT Panhellenic Instagram, which we will share at the end of the presentation with our social media slide. We have about 6 weeks until the start of Panhellenic recruitment, so we still have some details that we are working out. So if you have a question and we don't have a specific answer, no worries, we will have an answer to that as we continue to finalize our details. So an overview of what we're going to do today, why join our fraternity and sorority life office, the councils and how to join, commitment to a hazing-free experience, commonly asked questions, and then questions, comments, and concerns. I'm now going to go ahead and pass it over to Eva.
All right, so like Hannah said, we wanted to go over why join a fraternity or sorority, just in general. And so in a study conducted in 2021, the National Gallup survey found that alumni who participated in fraternity or sorority life felt more prepared for life after college, are more likely to thrive, be thriving in their well-being. They had a great collegiate experience. They have a very strong emotional connection with their alma mater. They have professors who made them feel excited about learning, and they felt supported by faculty and mentors, and are 3 times more likely to engage in experimental learning. And so we want to talk about what fraternity and sorority life is also a part of, and that's Experience VT. And that is a movement designed to help your students and Hokies discover their strengths, find their friends, and try something new. It's all about connection with passion, people, friends, and ways to make those goals a reality. It offers students tools to grow, learn, think, and make the most of their time at Virginia Tech very intentionally. And so we invite you to encourage your students and Hokies to utilize the tools and resources provided by Experience VT to help them design their overall experience at Virginia Tech. These tools are designed to help them create a customized plan for their academic and personal growth so that they are successful not just here at Virginia Tech, but beyond their graduation. And so these tools can be accessed with the QR code labeled Experience VT. That's the left QR code. This success begins with understanding and knowing yourself from a strengths perspective, excuse me. And so Virginia Tech is a very Clifton strengths heavy school. So many of the women in our Panhellenic chapters have already completed this, and is a great conversation starter. So definitely ask your student if they have completed it, because it's a free assessment through Virginia Tech. So we also have our QR code provided for you all, and that is the right QR code. It's talking about fraternity story life at Virginia Tech. We wanted to talk a little bit about our history and how we got here. And so the first fraternities that were established on campus of Virginia Tech were in the 1870s, but the institution abolished them in the 1880s. But then on May 24th, 1972, the B of V approved fraternity and sorority recognition again as of July 1st, 1972, creating the Interfraternity Council. And we'll go over what the Interfraternity Council is in a second. But yeah, we just celebrated our 50 years of getting that recognition. And so our office, as you can see, that's all of our wonderful faces. We have 7 full-time professional members and 2 graduate students. There's 4 of us, 4 or 5 of us who advise councils. We have a coaching model or coaching chapter model. And so each of us oversee about 6 to 8 chapters individually. We also oversee the Oak Lane community, which is the fraternity sorority life housing that is on campus. And on administrative and programmatic support, we provide these opportunities like Fraternal Leader Institute and Risk Management Institute to help our chapters really help them do even better work than they're already doing. And like I already mentioned, we are a strengths-based campus, and so we really like to hone in on it with leadership skills. And so our community, our campuses across the country campuses across the community are seeing a significant decline in members, chapter, and just interest in general. However, Virginia Tech is seeing the complete opposite, and it's been this way for quite some time. And just like the Hokie Nation, the Virginia Tech fraternity sorority life is also very special. And so this is a bit numerical overview of our community. So we have 4 governing councils. We have a total of 57 chapters that are different in their values, but they're all value-based and social. And then we have our chapter sizes range from 2 members to 200 members. And each of the chapters belong to one of the 4 councils. And so last spring, there was approximately about 5,277 undergraduates who participate in fraternity sorority life here at Virginia Tech. And so that's 18% of the makeup of the undergraduate body. And so our vision here at Virginia Tech, in the fraternity sorority life office, our hope is to be a fraternity and sorority community that values sisterhood and brotherhood, as well as lifetime engagement in the spirit of prosum that it may serve. Our goals are to support engaged members of the fraternity and sorority community by promoting lifelong learning, empowering personal growth, inspiring intellectual development, cultivating leadership, creating an inclusive and diverse community, and encouraging philanthropy and service, all through the shared values of siblinghood. And so we also want to brag a bit on our folks, our students. And so collectively over the last year, our members reported 23,000 plus hours of service, raised almost over 915,000 for philanthropy on a local, regional, and national nonprofits, charities, and other philanthropic causes. And also, we really value scholarship and academic excellence. And so the collective GPA for our community was 3.33 last spring, which is actually higher than all of the undergraduates for the spring of 2023. And so in our community, we recognize that they're students first. And so that's why we love to highlight how high their GPA is. And so We want to talk a little bit about our standards of excellence. It's our accreditation system to showcase chapters intentionally aiming for excellence. Participating chapters aspire to excel in 6 different categories, highlighting their contributions and accomplishments. And so these chapters will receive a rating platinum, gold, and bronze. And those are the 6 categories they're ranked in. And so platinum means that you went above and beyond. Gold, you just met our you're meeting expectations. And bronze, we definitely see an improvement and that, there's some area of growth there. And so I mentioned a little bit earlier about our 4 governing councils. And so as you can see, these are 4 governing councils. Interfraternity Council, or IFC, has 30 chapters here. That number is just one off. But yeah, they have a formal recruitment period at the beginning of each semester. And then our next council is the National Panhellenic Council. This is the historically Black fraternities and sororities, and so they're also known as the Divine Nine. So we have 6 of the 9 organizations on campus. Currently, we have 3 sororities and 3 fraternities represented on our campus, and so some students may join their first semester, but definitely we highly encourage students who are interested to reach out directly to the chapters for more information. And so our next council, this is the council I oversee, the United Council of Fraternities and Sororities. It is made up of 3 fraternities and 6 sororities, and they're all based, culturally based or academic interest based. And so we have 1 Asian interest sorority, 1 Asian interest fraternity, 2 multicultural sororities, 2 Latina-based sororities, 1 Latino-based fraternity, and then 1 professional and social sorority for female engineers and technical science students. And so we wanted to highlight these, recognizing, even though that this is a Panhellenic info session, that we wanted to talk about other opportunities because we want students to find their place. And sometimes it doesn't look necessarily like Panhellenic, and these are other avenues that they might pursue. And so all of their recruitment periods can vary. And so again, like I said before, I highly encourage those who are interested to do the research. And so on this page, you'll see some of the social media handle for sororities that folks may contact. And so now I'm going to pass it back on to Hannah to talk more specifically about the Panhellenic Council here at Virginia Tech.
Thank you so much, Eva. So as Eva has gone through, we have our 4 councils. This is our 4th that we'll talk about, and the one you all obviously have Hokies interested in since you're joining us today. So we do have 13 sororities, Panhellenic sororities here on campus that do a spring formal recruitment. All of our organizations are strong women's organizations that are dedicated to educational programming, leadership development, philanthropy and service, sisterhood and friendship, academic success, and uplifting and advocating for women's issues. So these are our 13 chapters that we have here on campus. We have quite a range of chapters, values, philanthropies, and we highly recommend you and your Hokies do research into all of these chapters. So getting into Panhellenic formal recruitment, first we're going to talk about eligibility. So to be eligible to go through Panhellenic formal recruitment in January, your Hokie has to have completed 1 collegiate semester. Transfer students are eligible for this process, and a woman is ineligible to participate if she has or is ever been initiated into a national Panhellenic NPC organization on any campus. So let's say they are transferring in and they joined a sorority formally or informally at their institution previously that was an NPHC group. Unfortunately, they wouldn't be eligible to go through formal recruitment here. Unless they have the same chapter here, they can transfer into that organization. But if you have more specific questions about your eligibility for your student, or if your student has questions for us, please feel free to reach out to myself or Abby. We can make sure we share our emails in the comments for your all's ability to reach out. We also have the phone number listed on the VTFSL website that you can always call and ask as well. So thinking more into eligibility, especially GPA, there is no GPA requirement to participate in Panhellenic formal recruitment. However, each individual sorority does have a minimum grade point average requirement for membership eligibility. As you can see here, we've made it kind of broken down by colors. So for green, if you have a 2.75 plus, options are likely not going to be limited by your GPA. Whereas if you're a 2.6 to 2.74, your options might be limited. And then if you are below a 2.59, your options are likely limited by your GPA. We've offered these resources down in the left corner to all of the students that have attended the student info sessions. There's a student success center, a writing center, and lots more with academic advising that if your GPA is below where you may want it to be, some different resources. The withdrawal date for classes is also December 6th. If for some reason, maybe you're an engineering, your student is an engineering student, they get into their class and they're like, man, this isn't for me, and their GPA is not looking great, or the class isn't helping. There's lots of different opportunities. And we want to emphasize that they are students first. As Eva mentioned previously, we have very high GPAs and standards within our community, and I think that echoes across a lot of our campus. So how to register? How does your Hokie register? So they're going to create an account on a site called My Campus Director. We have included the link here. They're going to be filling out some general information and questions about their values and goals. I believe there's 3 short essay questions. They're about 200 words. There's going to be a grade release and committing to a hazing-free experience. And then they're also going to be paying a $150 registration fee within that website. We'll get into it more later on what that registration fee covers. They're also going to register in Hokie Spa, and that is that grade release and committing to a hazing-free experience, which is external to My Campus Director and is within all of their Virginia Tech platforms. I also want to highlight that if you have had students go through our process before in past years, an introduction video was due at the time of registering. This is no longer the case. We actually now have it a part of the Canvas course that your students added to after they register for recruitment. So breaking down that registration fee, it is a non-refundable $150 fee. This fee goes towards quite a few things. So shuttles to and from the potential new member hub, and a potential new member is what we call someone going through the formal recruitment process. And then Oak Lane, the community where all of our chapters are housed and run their recruitment events out of. A philanthropy round t-shirt that they will wear for both days of philanthropy round. 6 lunches, and that's Monday, January 8th through Saturday, January 13th. We do not include breakfast, dinner, or snacks. That is not included in the registration fee. There is a link here that we will make sure to share as well that has a lot of the different winter services, whether it's acclimate weather, what dining halls are or are not open, where your student can actually use their Hokie Passport funds off campus if they're going to be here. So we highly recommend checking that out for all of that good information. And this is actually what sometimes our fee is a little more expensive than other places, but a lot of different universities and institutions don't do lunch. So it's something we are really happy to be able to provide for our potential new members. I value guidebooks, which actually help your students go through the process thinking really values-based and really thinking about what they want out of an experience rather than maybe just basing it upon other things, and lots more that they get to experience during the week. So a recruitment overview. So how does recruitment work? Recruitment is a mutual selection process. So after each round, P&Ms choose chapters that align with their views, and each chapter chooses P&Ms that embody their values. So that kind of breaks down into them visiting different chapters based around topical themes. And at the end of each round, they go through a process with someone called a ROGAMA, who we'll explain more about later. And this is just they're used as part of the process to help your student maximize their options and opportunities in this process. And your student actually gets a schedule of which chapters they will visit during that round in the morning. It helps narrow down the number of chapters they visit each round so that they can really hone in on what organizations they are interested in. And the potential to receive a bid at the end of the week is also helped by this process. Bids are not guaranteed. So again, your students should keep their options open throughout the week. They'll hear it a lot. I will probably say it a lot during this week, but our advice is trusting the process. Each year, a lot of women go in and end up selecting a chapter that they didn't know a lot about, or it changed their perspective of them during their formal recruitment process. And that's just the power of Panhellenic formal recruitment. So again, encouraging your student to keep a very open mind during this process, and maybe pushing themselves out of their comfort zones or what they've previously known. So breaking it down into some different rounds of recruitment. So we are asking that your students return Saturday, January 6th, no later than probably around 5 p.m. That's obviously up to you all. I know some of us fly, train, car. There's many ways that our students get to campus. But we ask that of them because we do kick off at noon on Sunday. As we've been telling students during the info sessions, it wouldn't be great if you're coming down 81 from Nova on that Sunday and then unfortunately miss kickoff and maybe can't participate in formal recruitment. The other part of this is making sure that your students are going into their Star Res accounts and making sure they request break housing to be back this early. So the next day is going to be our open house round. Kickoff is on the, as I mentioned, on Sunday at noon. We're going to do values-based stuff. We have a speaker that comes in. We do Adams Law hazing prevention training, orientation, all of that great stuff. Monday, we immediately jump into a virtual round where they actually get to review chapter videos with their Rho Gamma groups, as well as the chapters watch those introduction videos. Philanthropy is on Tuesday and Wednesday. Those are our first in-person rounds. Chapters get to share a lot about their philanthropy and service efforts. Maybe your students are having the opportunity to share their experiences with this in previous times of their lives. And then we jump into sisterhood, which is Thursday to Friday. And that is when our chapters share more about what makes their sisterhood unique. Preference is a great, meaningful day. A lot of seniors are given the opportunity during the round. The senior members of the chapters are able to reflect on their experience, why they joined their chapter, and what's special to them. It's a very reflective time. Bid Day is obviously the day that all of our students look forward to. It is a great celebration when your students should, fingers crossed, receive a bid and trust in the process. And it's a day where you can definitely most support your Hokie. Typically, we don't have parents or non-Panhellenic students attend or anything, but it would definitely be a good day to love up on them. Maybe you're thinking about lots of extra messages, checking in, maybe whatever that looks like for you and your student. And these are going to be long but very enjoyable days. Kind of looking at the expectations, it is a week-long process designed to help chapters and the potential new members get to know each other. As we mentioned before, lunch is going to be provided each day. Other meals are on their own. If there are dietary restrictions that need to be given, make sure that your student emails. They've been given an email as they go through the information sessions to be able to make sure that we are getting them what they need for their restrictions and accessibility and accommodations. It can be very early mornings, thinking 6 to 7 a.m. and very late nights, 9 p.m. to 12 a.m. And so it's also a lot of preparation and thinking, sometimes some exhaustion. And so that's where our Rho Gammas also come into play. There is on-campus transportation provided for the whole time they're on campus with us. They're going to be in a Rho Gamma group of 20 to 30 other potential new members. So luckily they have lots of people going through the process with them, are doing it. And recruitment guides or the I Value booklet guides, as I mentioned before, are also provided to help guide them through this experience. So we've talked about support. So some support systems that are in place. First, as I've referenced a few times, we have something called Rho Gammas. So these people are wonderful sorority women who were selected last spring through an extensive application interview process. And there is someone from each chapter represented in our Rho Gamma program. They're peer leaders that have actually taken a semester-long leadership course, learning about leading peers, empower women, and the importance of self-confidence. It isn't just a fluff course, it is a credit-bearing course, and it is designed to help your students have a positive recruitment experience. They are chapter leaders who have disassociated from their organization, so they can be an unbiased resource during this time. They are incredible mentors and guides, and your student will be assigned 2 to 3 Rho Gammas and should actually hear from them prior to the end of the calendar year, so in the month of December. They are there to help guides PNM before and through recruitment. And they can talk to them about their events, voice concerns, ask questions. They are there for anything and everything your student may need. These women are exceptional, and we're very grateful to have them as a part of our formal recruitment process. And when you talk to your student, and she's in some critical decision points as we'll talk about in a little bit, you can definitely ask if she's spoken to her Rho Gamma and what they've said and advice they have given. Of course, there's us, the Office of Fraternity and Sorority Life. We are helping all of our students lead this great process. We are there for PNMs and all of the good things and good work that we do. And last but not least, you all, you are pros at this already. You've been doing this for them for a while. And so as parents and supporters, you're professionals at it. Just making sure that you're listening to your student, listen to what they're saying, and listen to what they're not saying also is very important. Asking big questions to help provoke reflection, and definitely helping them see the benefits of joining a Panhellenic sorority. I know it's one of the greatest decisions that I ever made for myself, and here I am now doing it as a big kid professional job. It's super cool. So some key decision points, as I mentioned before. So prior to registering for recruitment, helping them reflect on, should they register? Do they want to join? Should they participate in formal recruitment? Over winter break, they're going to be potentially at home with you. What are they going to be wearing? How do they want to show up? Are they hopeful? Are they feeling like they can be their authentic self? When do they want to come back to campus? At the end and beginning of each round, it's going to be thinking about ranking and helping support them through maybe if they were able to go back to a chapter they loved the next day, or maybe if they weren't selected to go back to that chapter, how are they feeling and how can you support them? And at the end of preference round, how, again, are we ranking options? And then bid day, when they've received a bid, you know, is this the place that I want to have as my home? And again, helping them keep an open mind to keep their the most choices open for them. And again, just reminding them that they're Rho Gamma, any of us are resources as well. So thinking through some pro tips. It's Virginia in January. For any of you all that are local, or any of you that have students that are not freshmen but have been here, it can be a little unpredictable, so it can slow travel plans. So just make sure that is part of the thought process, and building in potentially extra travel time or days. Access to communication in your Hokie. They are going to be very busy, but they have breaks. They're allowed to have their phones with them at all times. And so that is going to be a really good, crucial part. For accommodations, here's that email that I referenced before to make sure that we are having full accessibility options for our students going through this process. And attire, it does get progressively dressier as the rounds go on. For an open house where they're viewing virtual videos, they can come in their sweats. For preference, we typically see a more formal best attire dress, but at the end of the day, we also really want our students to show up authentically as themselves. So we want to make sure they feel best in what they're wearing, not necessarily just looking the part, but making sure they feel good. So, commonly asked questions. So what are the financial responsibilities of being in a Panhellenic sorority? So National Panhellenic Council that we are part of, NPC, has enacted a financial transparency program to assist PNMs potential new members and understanding the financial obligations of joining a sorority. They're going to receive all of this information during recruitment in a video. It's very helpful to them just because it can help you understand the expenses. Where is this money going? How is this related to programming, socials, t-shirts? And it's different for every chapter. Nationally in the past, some chapters post one fee for everything, while some keep it low with a few different like a la carte options, for a lack of a better way to say that. And it is going to be higher in the first semester as a new member. There's usually membership pins or badges, certificates. Housing is also a factor in this. This can be discussed on a case-by-case basis, the same way we can discuss eligibility. But with housing, your students should expect to live in the chapter house for at least one academic year, usually within their third year, and a new member class could be in the 50s of the total number of members coming in, and each house has about 32 beds. So the likelihood is pretty high of living in our Oak Lane housing spaces. Also thinking some more about those financial responsibilities, dues are set by the organization. This can include national fees, liability insurance, as well as, I mentioned before, chapter programmatic needs and operational expenses. This can average anywhere from around $400 to $650 per semester. I will say there are lots of scholarship opportunities, whether that is from alumni chapters in the area, if it comes from the organization itself. Some chapters do have financial consideration or certain circumstances where you can request aid, especially if it's dependent upon a change in a situation or in life, and all that good stuff. So that is also kind of on a chapter by chapter basis. So another great question, what is the time commitment? So most organizations do have weekly chapter meetings, and there may be additional meetings, philanthropic service events, and or other social events. We usually like to estimate anywhere from 4 to 8 hours a week. That's obviously going to depend on our weeks. As we get closer into finals, I know a lot of our students are only really having chapter meetings. They're not having as much programmatic events because they know that time and space needs to be made for academics to come first. Are there housing options? This is a lovely map that is made. So yes, those that live on campus live in the Oak Lane community. There are 19 chapters housed. 13 of those are all 13 of our Panhellenic sororities. Those are marked by pink, blue, and yellow. And there are no off-campus housing for any of our sororities. It's a great opportunity to live amongst sisters and be in great space with each other. So some personal development opportunities. We've got a lot that our students do within their own organizations. This is a lot of what we do within the community as a whole. So Order of Omega is a leadership honor society for undergraduate members of fraternity and sorority organizations. It's a great opportunity to be a part of something bigger than just the organization you join. Community development, we do something called Greeks Giving Back, where our students are able to go out into the New River Valley area and help folks who need help painting fences, mulching yards, whatever the need is at that time. Oak Lane Trick or Treat, I was very excited to experience my first one this year. Come Halloween, we actually do it drive-through style, and our students get to set up outside of their houses and have the opportunity to pass out candy and treats to probably about 150 cars, let alone how many kiddos were in those cars. We have the Overton R. Johnson Step Show, which is a great opportunity to uplift and support our culturally based organizations. The celebration is also our end of year huge community celebration. Last year's was especially big with FSL turning 50, as Eva mentioned before. Leadership education, all of these various things listed, AFLV, UIFI, SGLA, FLI, RMI, lots of alphabet soup. But as you can see, it's a variety of leadership opportunities and conferences. Quite a few of these are actually also free to our students who apply and are accepted to go. And there are also, as you get more specific into roles, opportunities within the organizations as well to attend their own conferences. So what are the policies surrounding hazing? So we all belong to Hokie Nation. Hazing has no place in our fraternities and sororities or anywhere in our community. We are very prideful that Hokies do not haze. This is home. It's all of our responsibility to keep our home safe and healthy for all Hokies. And hazing is prohibited by the Student Code of Conduct, and it is a criminal offense in the Commonwealth of Virginia. For those of you who may not be Virginia natives or not familiar with it, we do have something called Adams Law, which is in memory of a student who lost their life to hazing at Virginia Commonwealth University. We have public reports of responsible findings of hazing misconduct. If you look up Hokies Don't Haze, there's also a QR code and a link. You're able to read and access all of that information. There's lots of different sections to that, and it's updated at least 10 days prior to the start of each fall and spring semester, and it's maintained of any information within the last 10 years following the date of the initial disclosure. For any questions about that, you can contact the Office of Student Conduct. So how do our students report hazing? There's a QR code that we actually share with all of them. As I mentioned during kickoff, this is one of the things that we present and share with our chapter is about Adams Law and having training around how to know what hazing is, because some of us may not even realize it in the moment when it's happening unless we've had these discussions beforehand. There are confidential resources that our students can contact, like Counseling Center, the hazing reporting form. There are non-emergency ways to also report it through us, through conduct, student engagement. There's also a national anti-hazing hotline that's listed there as well, which is actually completely separate from Virginia Tech, but does take reports of hazing for anywhere. But we especially like to share this because we know sometimes our students may feel comfortable wanting to disclose this externally. And if you or your student or someone else is in danger, anything is shared with you that is worrisome, you can contact the VT Police Department if it's something that you know is going to happen. Absolutely making sure that you're calling 911 immediately. We highly encourage our students to make sure that they are aware of what hazing can look like in the community, aware of what it can look like when it's happening to them, and that they have resources to reach out and make sure that they can be responsible Hokies in our community. I have dumped, Eva has dumped lots of information. I think I've seen a few little chat bubbles and questions, but these are the variety of pages that we recommend you follow. The very first one, VT Greeks, is the fraternity and sorority life page. And then all 4 of our councils also have Instagrams listed here. Feel free to contact us at gogreek@vt.edu. We also have our website if you look up VTFSL, or you can type in that code as well. But now I am going to stop sharing and let you all ask any questions, look at the chat. See, there's Q&A.
I just had a question come in from Sam that says, was there a general meeting before now for any student wanting to join any VT sorority? Yes, there's been 8, I believe, information sessions. We've had almost 1,000 women attend one of these information sessions, so we know there's a lot of interest. However, there will be another information session going to be virtual next week, I believe. Thanks,
Yep.
Jennifer just asked, do you need to live at the house for a year or can it be a semester? For junior year, my daughter plans to go abroad. Great question, Jennifer. So your contract and lease is for a year. However, sometimes with their new sorority sisters, they're able to make it work of maybe Susie's going to Spain in the fall and Ellie's going to Germany in the spring, and so maybe Susie and Ellie can switch and swap. However, I wouldn't bank on that too much. So if they've already signed a lease for their sophomore year, then we can always get to that when it comes down. Great question. It definitely gets really specific really quickly, so I don't want to speak in too many absolutes, but I think studying abroad is amazing. I encourage them to do it. Again, these sororities typically have over 200 women, so we can usually figure something out to where the right person can either fill or be prioritized. Definitely not something we want to discourage your hokey from going through the process at this point, but you can always contact us further for more specific details. I've got another question. Is there informal spring recruitment? I have an athlete who has practice during rush week. Every year we have the high techs tend to be particularly bad, but other athletes too, softball, track, etc. Have questions about, I have practice and I can't get out of it, because the hard truth of it is you can't miss any part of it. Once you're into this formal recruitment process, it is pretty all encompassing, and if you have to miss, it unfortunately kind of takes you out of the process. We've also had women who have gotten flu or had a family emergency come up. So that exempts them from completing the formal recruitment process. However, keep the faith, because yes, there is an informal recruitment process that will start essentially 48 hours after the formal recruitment process ends. So mark your calendars for Thursday, January 18th. That's our FSL showcase. So the chapters that are eligible to still accept members will be actively and openly recruiting during informal recruitment. And that's a great opportunity for your women to join. Thanks for that question. I'm going to go over to Lisa asked, does a legacy enter into recruitment? So a legacy by definition is a student that has connection to a relative that has been a member of Panhellenic sorority. So you might have a grandmother that was a member of Gamma Phi Beta, or a sister that is a member of Tri Delta at Clemson, right? Like there's lots of different ways that legacy plays in. I would say our culture at Virginia Tech is that it's not the utmost consideration. A little bit further down south, legacy is a big deal, not gonna lie. So it's not as big of a deal here in the culture at Virginia Tech. It can pique interest, particularly if that organization is on our campus. However, I think it's still helpful of like, if mother was a Phi Mu at Tennessee, right? Like still go ahead and enter that in. I think it broadens the Panhellenic experience, and it can be an exciting and special moment, but that's not how our chapters are typically like thinking about when they're making their membership decisions. They're making their membership decisions a lot more based on values alignment and just fit, right? Thanks for that question, Lisa. Going to go over to Cynthia, who asked, what is the best way to research each chapter prior to rush? I would encourage your hokey to get on the Instagram. That is typically where a lot of the kind of like peer-to-peer, student-to-student research is going on really well. But for parents, fsl.vt.edu, we have something called a chapter scorecard that really highlights by dues, by GPA, by percentage of student members involved in the conduct process, right? Like you'll really get to flush that out. Again, a gold chapter doesn't necessarily mean better than a platinum chapter or vice versa. It's really just kind of how they're going through our accreditation process and how they're showing up to things. So gold is great, platinum's best, bronze is still a good chapter, right? If they're on our campus and they're participating in the accreditation program, they're in good shape. Okay, I'm going to go over to another question here. Do you accept letters from non-legacy folks? So there's actually two questions hiding in this. One is this idea of letters. And again, you go down a little bit further south and letters can be a big deal about a woman's entrance into an organization or not being admitted into an organization. I'm here to tell you at Virginia Tech, the letters really are not that big of a deal. There's very few chapters that put much stock into them. And frankly, like a lot of women go through and they don't have any letters or any legacy status or anything like that. And that's because our chapter culture here is pretty inclusive, right? We're relatively forward facing. That stuff doesn't matter quite as much as does even a decade or two ago, or a little bit further down south. So depending on that. So the second part of that question is letters from non-legacy folks. Generally, the letters are coming from legacy folks, but all of those letters are kind of specific requests to and through the international headquarters organizations generally. Like if you send our office a letter, like I can forward it on to chapters, but again, it's we never even really see that. It's just not that big of a deal. Here. Let's see. Done. Happy to answer, any other questions. I think I answered 2 that were kind of just in writing, but I'll address them verbally. But one question asked of how does it work for transfer students already in a sorority? If your Hokie is transferring in and is already a member, please go ahead and just contact our office, because that's going to be a really specific situation. We want to make sure that your students best prepped and getting connected as well as they can. Kate just asked, will the video be posted at a later date? Yes, we're hoping the recording worked out well and able to share. If not, we'll be sure to continue to share information on our own social media. That's Virginia Tech Fraternity Sorority Life on Facebook, or at Go Greek. That's our Instagram, VT Greeks. That's our Instagram. Sorry. Go Greek.
Go Greek is the email.
Is the email. Yes, thank you. Had another question that was really good in the Q&A of just about timing, right? So Hannah mentioned this, but the days are incredibly long. They can be pretty taxing. Every morning, your student's going to check in at about 7:30 or so. And they'll be at the P&M hub unless they're in around. We do that just because it gives them a good chance to connect with and make friends with women going through the process, whether they become future sorority sisters or just good friends here. Even if you don't find a membership at the end, we think this process is really great because you can make lots of good friends through this process. Now, again, we're going to do everything we can to make sure that your Hokie finds a membership, but she needs to trust the process a little bit too. But yeah, in general, right, there's about a 2-hour lunch break in the middle of the day, where they'll be able to call you or text you, right? Like we don't take their phones away. They won't be able to easily respond while they're in around, because it's a very involved, kind of think speed dating type of thing. Like it's a very involved when they're in the round type of situation. But when they're not in the round, yeah, they'll be able to kind of connect with you, process with you. Generally, days are ending around, between 6:30 and 8 every day. It depends a little bit on the day for them. You might have your Hokie might end right in the afternoon, just depending on the number of rounds they were invited back to, and or just how their schedules worked. Eva, go ahead.
Yes, I am getting a question. They're asking about living in sorority house if they've already signed a lease for the next year.
Ooh, that is a great question. So if you've already signed a lease, we encourage you to fulfill that lease. Don't need to break it. However, I do think if you haven't had your Hokie sign a lease, maybe hold off at this point, see how it plays out. If you can, if your Hokie can live in as a sophomore, then that's even better too. So we do have a mix of sometimes women live in as sophomores, sometimes they live in as juniors. We even have some seniors that do live in the house. So it's a little bit different for everyone. If they've already signed an off-campus lease, we want them to go ahead and fulfill that lease. There will be future opportunities.
Yeah, we've got some more in the Q&A. So we had a question: when will we receive guidance for clothing, clothes options? That is a great question. On the Instagram, we've actually shared a style guide. That's a very generic, kind of what the vibe is for each round. I will also say there is a Pinterest board that's been made accessible on the Canvas page that your students are added into after registering for recruitment that that really breaks it down even more. There's always the opportunity as well for them to reach out and ask if they are curious. I definitely think, just to quickly highlight, for thinking about like open house, as I mentioned, it's very much sweats. They're very much hanging out in a classroom watching videos. When you think about philanthropy, we're actually, we provide a t-shirt. So it's kind of a fun bottom moment, or comfy bottoms as appropriate for what your, again, student feels authentically showing up in. Sisterhood, we typically see this being one more step up. Maybe it's like a casual dress, maybe someone who feels good in pants and a blouse. And then that final preference is going to be like an even another step up with like a fancier dress potentially, or maybe like business snappy casual. And then bid day is very much comfy bottoms, tennis shoes, comfortable shoes, because they're going to be given a t-shirt as soon as they are able to go run home. Thank you, Eva, for attaching the lookbook. That's great. All right.
Had another question about when is the next info session and a link. Thanks, Kim. The women are hosting one November 26th at 7 p.m. Stay tuned for at VT Panhellenic Instagram. Your Hokie should be following there. They'll also post it in Gobbler Connect too. It's not an easily shareable link on here, but Gobbler Connect, your students will know what that is. And Instagram at VT Panhellenic for the link to that Zoom for the last info session. Again, I encourage your student to register too. So once they're registered, they're fed into a Canvas course, which is where they submit some assignments and stuff like that. So they'll be very familiar with what Canvas is. And their Canvas course has like just buckets of information, and we'll continue to get lots and lots of information. So really at this point, the biggest thing that you can do to help your Hokie is get them registered. It's that $150, that short questionnaire on My Campus Director. And someone share that link in the chat, please, Hannah or Eva. So get them to this link, get them in, and then the rest will come later. Like that's I think one of the biggest takeaways for today. Gonna go back to a couple more of the questions while we're here. Lisa asked, can the student go through recruitment as an incoming sophomore starting in fall 2024? Yes. If you think that the time is not quite right, or your Hokie still wants to find friends in other ways, totally a-okay. They're eligible for informal recruitment in fall of 2024. However, not every chapter goes through informal recruitment in the fall or later in the spring. So formal recruitment's the best chance of joining all 13 of, or any of the 13 of the chapters. So they would have to next wait until spring of 2025 to go through the formal recruitment process again. Hope that helps. Another question, don't exec members need to live in the houses? Yes and no, depending on what their leadership structure is like and the expectations are by the chapter. That's a really chapter specific questions. I can think of a couple chapters where like just the chapter president has to live in the house. I can think of other questions where most of the executive board lives in the house. It's pretty chapter dependent, but great question. Thank you. Okay, happy to take more questions. I know this is a pretty rigorous process and can be kind of overwhelming. If you have a question that you're like thinking about tonight as you lay your head down for bed, right? Like feel free to send us an email, gogreek@vt.edu. We're really happy to make sure that you're getting the information you need. Lisa, formal recruitment is in the spring, not fall. Yes, this process, this January week that we talked about where it's kind of all in the long days, that is formal recruitment, and it's only in January every year. So the next formal recruitment process would be in January of 2025.
And just a reminder to everybody, this presentation has been recorded and we're happy to send out the slides as well.
Probably posted on that same post in VT Parents page.
Yep.
yes, if like you haven't yet, we highly encourage for you all to join the Hokie Family Hub that our partners at New Student Family Programs do. There is a specific fraternity and sorority family page that we post on. We posted this info session on there, and we will definitely try to get this out there as well.
Thanks for that reminder, Eva. Yeah, great resource. Well, yeah, we'll stay on for another couple of minutes, answering any questions that might come up.
But thank you all so much for joining us. We don't have any more content, but if you do have questions, again, feel free to stay on, email Go Greek. We've dropped lots of different links in the chat as well for you all. So thank you.
Hey, everybody.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Okay, we're probably good. Yep.
Okay, let me stop the recording.